Okay, let me say something about your final project. Um, what I'm looking for is for you to identify a conflict, a question, a tension, an issue in society. It can be personal, it can be in your ministry, it can be in your profession or vocation, it can be in your community or family, it can be national, it can be international. So I've left it kind of open based on your interests. You've had 5 examples now in in peacemaking and conflict from the group projects. Maybe one of those have sparked your interest, and you want to go a little bit farther and do some more research and create something more in one of those areas. Or there may be a particular thing that's happening in your church, which some of you mentioned in the group projects in the comments, that you want to begin to try to address. And so that's what I want you to do is I want you to identify that particular question or tension or conflict or issue, and then begin to do the research on that. So I want you to send to me either through Canvas email or my email address. Either one is fine. What you're proposing, what conflict that you want to address, and then I can maybe help you get some resources for that. Or I can just say, hey, yeah, what I don't want you to do is not tell me, then work on a project and kind of miss the point of the project, and then not get as good a grade as you'd like to get. And so make sure that you kind of email me and say, hey, this is a project that I'm looking at. What do you think about this? So that's the first thing, is to identify the conflict, the question, the tension, or the issue. The second thing, I want you to, like you did in the group project, narrate the story from both sides. What is each side trying to tell from their own perspective? And then after you've done that and you feel like you've done that adequately, I want you to try to identify the points of conflict. So here are some of the places of conflict here. There may be like some economic tensions in international conflict. There may be some, like let's take immigration reform or something like that. There may be some political points of conflict, just different perspectives on what it means to be a nation state. What are the boundaries around a nation state? What is it? How do we define members and guests of that nation state? And what are the rights and privileges of those people who are members and guests? And then how do we treat outsiders? So doing all those, trying to identify the points of conflict. Then once you've narrated the story, once you've identified the points of conflict, then can you apply anything from our course material, peacemaking initiatives, Wolf's exclusion and embrace, some of the making peace and conflict principles that you looked at for your group project, something from Cahill. All of those are live options, and I want you to think about what one or a couple of those do I think are applicable in this situation, and then I want you to dive deeper. So what I don't want is I don't want you to say, yeah, if we applied, increased democracy and human rights, this would solve the conflict. What I want you to do is go deeper. Is I want you to say, okay, well, how would that work? What would that look like in this particular instance? And what human rights specifically do you want to increase? What ways that would democracy help in this particular instance? So you want to develop those in depth a little bit, and then you want to ask a question: is there any group or is there any church or anybody that's tried to apply this principle? How have they worked? That's one of the things that was a little bit missing in your group project. None of you referred to any groups that are making peacemaking efforts. Maybe not none of you. Sorry, that might be overstated. But only a few of you would look at groups that were trying to apply some of the very principles that you're suggesting. And so I'd like to see that a little bit. What were the results of those applications? How come they're going well? How come they're maybe struggling or something like that? or if they haven't applied any of those principles, how do you think that this would apply moving forward? Okay. The other thing, don't forget about the scriptures. Do the scriptures have anything meaningful to say about this conflict? How do you apply it in this situation? And I don't want a simplistic, application of the scripture. So if you're talking about race and racial justice, and you just go to Philippians chapter 3, verses 1 through 10, or you go to Galatians chapter 3:28, there's no longer Jew nor Greek, male nor female, slave nor free, and you just say, so everybody is equal. I want more than that. I want you to go a little bit deeper than that and talk about what do these scriptures actually mean in this context, and then how do you bring them forward to our particular situation. Okay, so then some very concrete things. I'm going to have a half an hour office hour tomorrow. That'll be Monday. I'm going to try to do it at 5 o'clock Pacific time, so 5 to 5:30. And I'll talk a little bit more about what I'm looking for. I'll try to record it again and post the recording for those of you who can't make it. We have so many different time zones represented in this class, and so we'll do the best that we can. The logistics. You need a title page and a bibliography. Neither the title page nor the bibliography count in your page count, and so apart from those, you need 10 to 15 pages for your paper, and standard margins, 12-point font, etc. I want you to have footnotes and not endnotes. The number of sources that you need are at least 5 sources. 3 of those can be in-class sources. 2 of those have to be outside sources. So you'll have to do some research outside of the course material to draw from to apply in your paper. Those have to be academic articles or books. That is, an academic book has footnotes. Academic article is refereed in some way and usually has footnotes as well. So 10 to 15 pages, regular font, 12-point font, regular margins, you footnotes, not endnotes, title page and bibliography for sure, and make sure that all those are formatted correctly. You can use Chicago or Turabian style. If you don't know what those are, you can just Google those really easily, and you can find out they have guidelines online for them. Okay, this is a really fun project for me as I read them. Some questions are new, some conflicts are new, and I learn something every time I'm reading these and grading these projects. So I really appreciate the work that you all have done. You're almost finished. There's a lot going on usually at the end of the quarter, the end of the summer, school starting for those of you that have children, all those kinds of things. So take care of yourselves in the middle of all the chaos of finals week and the end of the quarter. If you have trouble or you need something, please don't hesitate to ask. And then if you want to pop in for voluntary office hours tomorrow from 5 to 5:30 Pacific time, then please do that. I'll send out the Zoom link this evening. Okay? Have a great week this week. Really appreciate it again, the hard work that you all are putting in for this class.